Welcome to 8 Nights of Kvetching, Night 5.
Hello and welcome to night 5 of 8 Nights of Kvetching. Welcome back, or if you are new here, hello. My name is Jessica and I am joined by fellow Dead Dreams Club member Anju Meredith as we kvetch, which is the grand tradition of complaining, airing our grievances, discussing the things at our holidays that just irk us a little bit. And so today for night 5, we're going to be discussing bad behaviors in interviews. And a little subtitle I'd like to throw in is ghosting is for Dickens, not for HR. It's not Hanukkah, but you all get it. Okay, so let's dive in. Bad behavior in interviews. The reason this is a kvetch, because it's still happening. It's 2022, and every single one of us, I think, has had an interview where there was bad behavior on the part of the interviewer or HR. One experience in particular I'm going to kvetch about is I was actually in an interview process, and for museums, I think this is not unstandard. I was in an interview process that lasted over 6 months, where I was called in 7 times over the course of 6 months to continue to interview at different levels. They were all on Zoom, but there were presentations, there were meetings with teams, there was meetings with HRs, there was meetings with higher ups, there was meetings with the actual CEO of a very large institution. And then they ghosted me after 6 months of continuing to talk, being down to the final 2. The way I found out I did not get this job is they announced on their social media that someone else did. So in just a summation, no, don't do this. And I think that's my major kvetch here is we all know that HR for museum hiring is difficult. It takes a long time. This process is slow. I'm not even kvetching about the fact it took 6 months. That is not the shortest time I've had for interviews either. It's ridiculous, but you can't just not tell people where they stand in the process, especially when it's this long. I'm going to let Meredith jump in because I'm sure you have reactions.
I mean, I have like so many reactions, and I also want to like share my own interview horror story, which isn't ghosting, but it's pretty bad. But first, I'm sorry, can you repeat how long the process was?
So this one was 6 months. I have done multiple. I would say on average, from my experience, from the time you get the first like HR's interested in talking to you message to the last like interview with the group and there's an offer is usually like 3 months from my experience. But this one was 6 months. And then the longest I think I ever had was like 8 months. And to be fair, that one started in 2019 and I think like COVID, kind of happened. But this 6-month one was fully like in 2022. So at that point, like you had your shit kind of together and like you knew what was happening. And it was still 6 months and again, ended in a ghost.
I've been ghosted by, I think like the only one that I've truly been ghosted by was USA Jobs. Like anytime I apply to anything on USA Jobs, I'm like, hey, I know what buttons I'm supposed to click to get around whatever weird ass filter you have. Like I know I have Google available to me, which means I can like Google all the government ranks and know what I'm qualified for. But like, I think I heard back from a job that I had applied. This is like back in maybe 2009, 2010. So like maybe they've changed it. I don't know. But it was okay. It was like 12. There were 12 years ago now at this point. But like it was a good 8 months before they're like, hey, no. I actually have an application out in USA Jobs or whatever for like a government position.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not gonna hear back from them.
Well, and I think it's like the federal jobs, right? USA Jobs, you kind of expect that like there's some you just never hear back from. Like they will never update that post. Like, it just dies somewhere. Like, I don't know if somebody got hired. I don't know if it got canceled. It's just like you didn't hear back. Like, I don't feel like that system updates you very well unless you are like selected, or unless like it's an immediate like no.
Yeah.
But
Well,
it's
like
still
what's
like non-federal ones, I feel like, are more shady in the way they like act with this.
and I do want to share my bad behavior interview story because it was like one of my favorite icebreakers for like people trying to get into museums or people who just like share around the campfire stuff. Because like I have for-profit interview that, you know, ask me another time and I'll tell you. But like my most horrifying bad behavior job, I think, or bad behavior interview was something that actually I think has to do with a thing that, you know, we've talked about, and the thing that I think we encounter a lot, which is like vocational awe of like, I work in a museum, so I get to behave like this. And I think that's like part of why they are like, we have the power. And I just want to be like, no, you don't. You really don't. Because people like who's, you know, your workforce is your community, right? But like when I was fresh out of college in it was 2000, it was fresh out of college, it was 2008. So it was like peak recession. And I was trying to find work, and I went to a particular museum, and I was like cold calling and cold emailing everybody because I'm sort of like of you know what our parents tell you, like,
Oh yeah.
send email. I was like, okay, I guess. I mean, you know, like that's how I get jobs like in retail. It's like I showed up and asked for an application. Apparently it doesn't work in the office, but I didn't know that. Nobody ever taught me. So I cold contacted a museum in the area who I had honestly never heard of, but they were so high on their own farts, I swear to God. And they said, we might have something small for you, but you'd have to take on like another job. And I was like, that's fine, like anything to get work, because I needed to study employment.
Yeah.
I needed experience. I had just graduated college. I was living with like 3 other dudes in a house that we couldn't heat, and I needed money for
Need to pay rent.
I needed to pay rent. I needed to buy National Bohemian. Sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. So I thought this was an interview. And so I like ironed my interview dress. I had an interview dress. It was a black wrap dress because it was 2008.
Yeah.
Cotton sateen wrap dress, 2008. I had a chunky heel. I showed up, and everybody was like confused about why I was there. I got passed around a lot to different people who seemed really just like browbeaten and sad.
Oh God.
And then at the end, they brought me to the museum's director, and they were like, you know, she has experience working at museums previously. Like she'd been interning at museums, and she has object handling experience, and she's actually, you know, worked in an archive before. Like she's got enough that she could do something. Do you think you have anything for her? Because like I wasn't without a pretty decent resume for a college grad. And the guy, okay, I'm going to name and shame. This was the Jewish Museum in Baltimore. All right, I'll say it. I'll say it because you know what? This is the
community accountable.
I'm going to hold my community accountable. But he basically like said something along the lines of like, would you even know a synagogue if it like bit you in the nose or something? Or I'm paraphrasing, but it was pretty damn close. And I was like, I'm Jewish. He was like, well, that means nothing. And then his exhibitions assistant, who was next to him, like holding the clipboard, like very big, like TA energy from her, was like, I'm not Jewish and I know my way around the synagogue. And I was like, good for fucking you. And so this guy berated me, talked down to me, like was really proud of the fact that he was so difficult to work for.
Oh.
And then basically was like, you could volunteer for us for free. We look really good on a resume.
No.
And I left and cried. Like I was so confused. And I was so sweaty in my black cotton dress. And like I was like sweaty and upset. And like, you know, I was like maybe 21 or 22. and I was so like downtrodden, and you know, like 36-year-old me would have like gotten up the minute he started in and said like, I don't need this.
This isn't the right fit for me. Goodbye. Yeah.
Yeah. But like desperate for any sort of money, me was like, oh my God, no. So like, no, they didn't ghost me, but he was a terrible, unkind person who was like deeply proud of this really toxic behavior. And I'm like, it's because of this vocational arts, because he had like the temerity to think that like this museum was going to look great on my resume. And at the time I was thinking, I was like, my dude, I have the Smithsonian on my resume. You already stepped
Like
down.
there's other things.
I got the Smithsonian in addition to other things.
Yeah.
This is not like, I'm okay. I was making income at the time, but I was running out and I needed more. So it was like, anyways.
Yeah, I feel like this is, you know, the thing at Dead Dreams Club we always try and do, right, is like teachable moments. How do we solve some of these problems? And I think one of my biggest things for bad behaviors in interviews for museums in particular is just the like lack of freaking empathy that it seems like people have in this process, where like we've all, if you work in a museum, you've been through it. Every single one of us has been through a story like this, has sat there as somebody told us how like, oh, well, we're actually going to pay you less than we put in the posting, or like, oh, it's going to add more work than we told you. Like you've gotten that kind of treatment, and you know how desperate you are and how passionate people are for these jobs. And like, just don't be an ass. Like that's my teachable moment. Like you can just do better. Like if you're a part of a hiring team, if you're whether you're HR or just a hiring team, I've had people email me before and be like, I can't tell you everything that happened, but I wanted you to know that like choices were made, you're not going to be considered anymore, but I just really wanted your time not to be wasted. And you're like, does it suck? Yes, but at least I'm not sitting there like waiting and stressing and planning. Like we're Jewish, we have anxiety problems, we have irritable bowel problems. Like nobody needs that. Just like tell me and let me be done with my life and move on to the other like 80 applications I now need to send out. And like, so it's just like, yeah, happy holidays. Don't be an ass.
It's like 30 seconds to write an email and say, we're still working on it. Fucking 30 seconds. You know what? I could eat 2 latkes in that time.
Done.
I just
done. That's it.
Yep. So anyways, night 5, if you're interviewing somebody, don't be an asshole. Treat the people you're interviewing kindly as humans. Don't ghost them. Don't talk down to them. And to quote our friend and sometimes co-conspirator Adrienne Adams, don't be Miranda Priestley. Not everybody wants to be you.
Yes. Yes.
Right. Hag Sameach, happy Hanukkah, Eid al-Adha.